My name is Larry Maples. I'm the Associate Athletic Director for Capital Projects and Equipment. Head coach Jimmy Boyendane kind of envisioned this deal, and everybody has these wild stories on where it started and where it ended up, but I can actually say it started on a napkin. But that napkin has to get converted to something at some point, and so when this actually became a real deal, like we really want to pursue this deal, Jimmy kind of brought that napkin and those ideas to the table, and we literally sat down and said, hey, what do we want? We want locker rooms, we want one for men, we want one for women, we want coaches' offices, we want to have X amount of courts, we want to be able to have fans in it. What does that number look like? How can we lay it out? And kind of went through multiple iterations of what that is until we kind of got to this sweet spot of what we currently have now. So this project originally started, it was going to be a 12-month from the time we started, put a shovel in the ground to completion. It actually ended up around 16 to 18 months, depending on what you call substantial completion. One thing most people don't really understand or know is the longevity that we have in these courts. So they are post-tension tennis concrete courts. And so what that does is, yes, there's going to be a little bit of cracking, but we should not have a lot of court issues over the long run of this project. You know, I'm a big brand guy. I'm a big consistency guy. And so I feel if we do something right, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So when it came time to pick another product for this facility, there was no reason to go down that rabbit hole when we've done something and we've done it well. So the implementation of these, again, Southern Bleaching Company came in, provided us with the same specs that I've had in the previous product, and we just rinse and repeat it here. If you kind of look behind us, there's a railing for the seats, and then the fence for the actual court is right behind it. And that was a topic of discussion on how is that going to affect the fan experience and how is that going to affect the players as well. And so we went through multiple revisions and how do we feel, or how can you confirm that we're going to have sight lines to the baseline, and just the ability to affect the game from a fan experience. I think it turned out great. So my friends at John Thomas Designs, and they do an awesome job when it comes to laying out things and understanding what we want. We started this project with just a space holder. So we knew that we were going to do something in this space. Really didn't have a good idea on how many names, what size, etc. But we knew there was going to come a time we were going to have to give thanks to those people that helped make this a reality. And then we also wanted to cater to a more premium type seating. So how do we set that up to where it feels and looks like we purposely did that? And so we decided to just squeeze it down, put it in the middle, make it over court one, which is your primary court, and give them something to look at. In design, this was actually just a regular grass area. Again, I'll tell you about how we ended up getting here. At one point, that grandstand went all the way to the end, but once we shrunk down, we wanted to make a nice little picnic area. And so we had our friends at the Goat Turf make a donation and say, hey, there's a void here. We think it would be nice if we go ahead and come in and add some natural turf to us. And we made some arrangements to make that happen. And I'm really satisfied with the place. Again, my 5-year-old Chloe, you've seen her over here, and it gets used every time we open this facility. So it was a great add alternate. I think we all shared the idea. So when you talk about the coaches, they're more so worried about the functionality of the screen. So they've had some bad experiences, they've had some good experiences. So they're more so worried about where it's attached, how it's attached, if they come down, how do we reattach, the longevity of it, the ability to see through it or not. Again, we've got a main road on the backside of this one, which is Middle Tennessee. And so understanding that there's going to be traffic behind this one, what else can we do to prevent that from being an eyesore? And so that's when you get into some of the shrubbery and stuff that you see to break some of that sound issues we have and some of that eyesight stuff as well. On the branding piece of it, you already know we've got a few branding marks that we are known for. And so anytime somebody turns on the TV or watches a match at Middle Tennessee, they should be able to easily understand and identify who we are and what we're trying to do. The individual court scoreboards were in the project from the jump, and we used an existing scoreboard, which is the Buck Bolden tennis court, relocated it and found a home for it in this footprint. The thing most people don't know is we've already allocated pathways and raceways to to implement another big scoreboard, whether we want it to be LED or another, whatever it end up being, but for the north courts as well. And so when it comes time to pull the trigger on that, we've got the ability to just snap our fingers and roll. We start thinking about what we used to have versus what we have now. Again, the annual maintenance that went into keeping those up was a ton. And so what we know, we've learned from our past. And so with these courts, the maintenance of them is not as extensive, but the lifespan is extended. So you're talking 20, 30 years of little to no maintenance required for what we're standing on today. Guys come up in scooters and bikes and all that kind of stuff. And so we've got a place for them to park. And once they park, what is their walk path to do their everyday function? So they can access the locker room from the backside. They come in, change clothes, do what they got to do. And then they pop out when it's time to actually practice or play a match, pop out on his backside. That was very critical to how this building laid out. But we also want to grab some efficiencies there. So we knew that we weren't going to be able to put a bathroom facility out there specifically for the fans. And so how can we grab some space that we already have over here and give them some room as well? So we were able to do two things with one. So you enter the lobby space, and then once you go down this hallway, on the left-hand side is it's called the coaches or anybody that's in this space, single-use bathroom. And so when you walk out there as well, you've got bottle fillers and bottle station and water station. So again, you can fill that stuff up prior to going out and playing a little bit of tennis. On the right-hand side, you've got to have your janitor closet in here. You've got your women's and your men's tennis locker room. We've got a massive ITD closet, and again, the ITD closet services everything out there. So the first junction point is here, and then there's a feeder that runs everything else and service out there as well. And you also hit on the back side, there's an equipment room. So all your rackets, balls, shoes, everything that the program needs, that has to have a home and a place to live. And so we right-size it for what we're doing now with the ability to grow a little bit. Once you start creating and designing this, it's an art. It's an art to it. And so a lot of people are sensitive, and a lot of people have different opinions. And so you got to be able to have a vision and tell the vision and let the people that do what they do execute. And so again, we've gone back and forth on what works, what doesn't work, how the athletes are going to be receptive to it, how coaches are going to be receptive to it.
Really cool to see this whole full circle, and it really makes you just appreciate everything that I've got. I feel like current players and a lot of people that have just see the building, they don't really know like where we came from and how thankful I am from not having to drive to Nashville every day to practice indoor tennis. And now we go to ATC or we come over here. It's like, wow, it's pretty cool. My favorite thing about this whole building, I have to say, is this room here. Just because it offers us so many different things as far as meeting room / hangout room, and just to have that extra interaction with the student athletes.
What I'm hoping for the recruits, in their eyes, it puts us on par with the other kind of top schools in the region, because outside of the SEC down here in this region, we probably have the best facility. And if I'm recruiting someone who's looking at both schools, I don't want our facilities to be the reason they decide not to come to us.
So we went kind of round and round a little bit and decided if we're going to make it, let's make this a premium type facility, and let's don't shortchange ourselves. And so that was kind of the overriding attitude from the beginning to the end, and that's why you see this nice spectator platform. That's why we have a nice tennis center building that's located right here. So all of this is facility is really self-contained for both our men's and women's tennis programs.
So first of all, I like that the courts are not as fast. Like we have courts that are crazy fast, and for me, like it's not fitting my game style. So that's what I really like about it. But it's also a big part is injury prevention as well, because you had these cracks, you had this uneven spots where you like twist. It was easy to twist your ankle or do other things. But I mean, it's also the environment I'm in. Like when I see that, for example, on match days, like it's great. Like you look around, you're like, wow, I'm proud to be at MTSU.
It's incredible. I mean, we all are grateful for these courts, and for fans, I mean, the CUSA conference was something insane. Honestly, I think we are on the top, even though we are not in Power 5 schools. but you know, as our outdoor and indoor facility, I would say they are on the highest positions that I've seen so far.
I've already started to envision what my next couple projects are and how we can make this place an add-on. So I learned from my father a long time ago, you know, when you build something, you always want to make sure you can add on a couple things. Maybe you can't do them right away, but you know, there's tons of potential with this big grassy area right next to the courts. You know, like I've always thought, if you're not trying to improve, then you're getting worse.
We will have programs for the public to sign up for and come and hit on these courts and have a good time out here. So I envision us to continue to be, you know, kind of important to the tennis community in Murfreesboro outside of Adams Tennis Complex.
I think one of the key elements that really triggered our tennis community was the opening of the indoor facility. So finally we had a place in Murfreesboro that we could practice and play with the Murfreesboro tennis community. Our teams are out there all the time. They're integrated into the tennis community. When you see a first-class tennis facility, a state-of-the-art tennis facility, it draws an impression on the rest of the university. It's a little bit self-evident for the tennis programs, both men and women, how it can elevate our recruiting and home court advantages and all those kind of things. But I do think there is a much deeper source here of good of what these facilities are going to do for us as a university and for Murfreesboro as a community. I don't think we should lose track of it, that we want to host community events in here and have that and be part of the tennis community of Murfreesboro as well.